I know the Clippers are in the stream. Clipping. They clipping, bro.
I love everyone equally.
The internet is not something that you just dump something on. The internet is not a big truck. The internet it's a series of tubes.
Now, I was hoping on this channel with keeping the content more higher quality. Like, for example, such great videos where I'm sat in this chair dressed as Omni-Man. But the thing is, I love slop. I see some of you that come up to me in the street and then you throw rotten fruit at me. And you also say the piggies need their slop. So what is the most high quality way I could deliver you absolute garbage slop? Well, that would be ASOT, a series of tubes. This is me basically admitting I've completely fell off and I'm resorting to nostalgia baiting to hopefully keep you watching the channel. Now, the only problem I've had recently with making an ASOT video is, and I don't mean to be, you know, the little chuddy pointing at the whiteboard, nothing happens. Nothing is happening. I mean, okay, at the minute in the real world, there are some things that are kind of happening. Also, you may have noticed since my last videos or streams, the background is starting to look more like the back rooms. There's nothing here. There used to be like chairs and stuff. It's all gone now. Guys, they're cook chairs. I mean, you're watching a streamer. It basically is the equivalent of a cook chair. But unironically, at the minute, it seems online, nothing is happening. Or if something is happening, it quickly becomes nothing. To the point that people are now making memes saying that there is an actual slop drought.
When I came to you with the low taper fade meme, we thought we might start the great meme depression that would destroy every new meme.
I remember it well.
I believe we did.
It's almost like it's nearly summer and people are going outside, sitting in the parks, touching grass. That is instead of sitting at their computer screens in complete darkness, rotting, which is probably what you're doing right now.
Maybe you should try getting a job.
No, you're doing that, or you're probably watching me on your second monitor. Degen. I mean, I will be honest, guys. The slop drought has gotten so bad that my biggest competition at the minute, Dolan Dark.
Welcome back to Slop. Thanks for slopping trans.
He's basically just bringing up things that happened in 2017, trying to trick you into thinking it's modern news.
And apparently his brother Logan Paul is planning to visit Japan. I wonder how that will go.
I made a severe.
But you're not watching Dolan Dark. You're not watching Slop Live. You're watching my channel, where I bring you only the most forefront news, because Critical usually covers it 4 hours beforehand.
I drink your milkshake. I drink it up!
So the opening headline here is the moist critical situation is insane or crazy. I'll be honest, I haven't really done a slop video in about like 2 months. So I'm becoming a little bit aged to it. But the point I'm trying to make is there's probably a 90% chance that I'm going to title this video, The Moist Critical Situation is Insane, and just slap his face on the thumbnail. Because 2 years ago, Moist Critical, the favorite poopy big butt chungus guy, actually made a video on a YouTuber called Benlect. Now in this video, Critical goes in hard. He takes no prisoners. He's even wearing a black shirt in memory of Benlect. So Benlect was a huge TikTok creator with 11 million followers, which is probably about 2,000 subscribers on YouTube. And he would just read out memes. So you might remember those memes from like back in the Vine days where you had people like SoFlo Antonio. God, that is an old head word. And he'd basically be sat in his car going, I won't lie. This is me when the thing happens.
I won't lie. This is definitely me when I'm driving.
That was basically Bentelect's entire content.
One thing about me, I'ma go home. I don't care how late it is, how far I am, I'm going home.
It's pretty sloppy, you know, it's just like meme theft. But again, like this is a commentary channel also trying to act like they make good content as well. But the memes basically were caption. And then you know English, hopefully. I mean, why would you be watching me if you didn't know English? But anyways, you could read the caption yourself. You do not need Ben to basically sit there reading the caption for you. Now, before Critical made a video on Benlect, he was actually involved in a pretty big trend as well, where a lot of people just got pretty tired of his content to the point where they were basically just, that they would repost his videos and then add some kind of like threatening message afterwards.
Tomorrow I'm gonna study, clean my room, and go to...
Benjamin, there will be no tomorrow. After you realize we are in your closet, you will run, Benny boy.
So there was an OF creator. God, why can't I say the word? Why is like everything now so like dumbed down and neutered? I really have to say like O.F because if I say the other word, then the video gets demonetized. So there was a creator of a certain website that I'm sure you know about, called Jordan Max. And she basically posted leaked DMs of her and Benlect. And in these DMs, Ben was basically trying to use his podcast as leverage to try to make only content with her, and became quite hostile once she declined, even at one point threatening legal action. And obviously this always leads to the same thing. More and more people come forward talking about a creator. And this was snowballing mostly on Twitter. That was until Critical actually picked up that story, because there were different allegations and screenshots that were kind of spread all over Twitter. But in Charlie's video, he condensed all of it together so people had like a clear timeline. This then led Benlect to put out a statement through the Notes app on his phone, I'm guessing. Ben's defense was basically, I support everyone, including women, through equality. And then he also kind of alluded in the Notes statement as well that his mother was a woman. Amazing stuff. Now, obviously, people didn't take the Notes app to face value, so he was then forced to actually do a apology video.
There's a lot being said about me on the internet right now, and I just wanted to clear the air. I want to say to any girl that I'm not sorry.
What the hell is wrong with you? And then on top of that as well, he added the golden buzzword of apology videos, which is, you know, I'm going to try to work on myself to make myself a better person.
I will continue to work on myself and do better.
Now you're probably thinking, why am I trying to clickbait Critical into this video? Like this is really old drama. It doesn't make any sense to dig this up. Well, if you go onto Benlect's account, he has over 11 million followers. I know I did a meme about that earlier, but that is pretty strong numbers. But now going onto his account, his most recent videos, they struggle to get over 100,000 views, usually getting in between 20 to 50,000 range. But also on top of this as well, Ben seems to have gotten back on the statements he was making before, talking about how, you know, he was sorry and stuff, and now making it out that he was the but now it seems that Ben has actually gone back on his previous statements, and more recently saying that he's been the target of a harassment campaign.
A year ago, Jordan Max made up screenshots between me and other women to support her fake story that I started a podcast to sleep with women.
Greetings. Sex?
Ben also claims that the screenshots and evidence are faked, but doesn't really provide any way to do so. You just have to believe his word. And the problem is that's how a lot of drama comes down to. Do you believe this guy or the other guy? Most people know who Moist Critical is. Most people don't know who Benlect is. Or if they do, they probably only know of him from the Critical video. But then on top of that as well, he then goes back on saying how inauthentic the screenshots are by then saying he was just a guy that got rejected.
Penguin, John Casterling, and Sunny V2, among many others, have made videos pushing this fake story to millions of people. I didn't do anything besides get rejected by a girl who DM'd me first. These screenshots and stories are fake. These videos are 100% a defamation of my character. So if after watching this you are...
So either they are real and he's lying about them being fake, meaning that his statement of being a nice guy that got rejected is true, or the screenshots are fake and he was lying about being rejected. Either way, like, it's not really a great look. And also one thing that's really hurt his career, I feel, is trying to instantly come out with a response instead of taking his time with it. And also this flip-flopping between like someone that is like sorry for what they did or someone that just wants to go on the offensive. But the thing is about this Benlect drama, he was taking direct shots at Critical for his video.
Take a crack at this. You missed that one.
And I get it. Harassment is le bad, and the internet in general does have a huge problem with hounding people relentlessly until they basically get kicked off the internet. But at the same time, the frustration he has doesn't really take away anything at all. Now, I know there's going to be a little bit of Moist Critical glaze coming in, like, but I don't think people should get it twisted that Critical is this master puppeteer behind the scenes, pulling all the strings. It's more just he was a guy that made a video on something that he saw was cringe, and it blew up because it's Critical. I mean, even recently, Charlie has came out himself saying that he kind of wants to step away from personal drama like this because he's probably aware how much of an impact that he has. And a lot of the stuff that is covered now online that's drama related, you can't be impartial. You can't be sat on the fence because then both sides end up hating you. So what's the moral of this story? The poopy big butt, the big butt chungus situation is insane. Has he ever actually said that, by the way? I always default to that as a bit. Has he ever actually said that? Has he ever said poopy big butt chungus? I feel like it's something he would say.
If you are watching this video, that means I've just been murdered.
So recently, everyone's favorite creator who looks less and less like a human in his thumbnails, MrBeast, unfortunately, got in some hot water recently. So this was following an event that he put up that apparently didn't really meet expectations at all. So if you went to the MrBeast experience, you could get your hands on exclusive MrBeast merch, a 3-night stay in the Resorts World Las Vegas, also with a plethora of on-site activities designed to deliver an immersive and unforgettable experience. How much is this experience to be with MrBeast? $1 grand, $1,000.
We need money! You dumb fool!
So what does this experience actually provide? Surely something amazing. You might even get to meet MrBeast. There could be huge attractions, huge rides. You got a bag. 1 bag of merch. That could have been bought online for $9. And apparently as well, the merch wasn't even fitted to whoever ordered it. So a lot of people just ended up getting clothes that they just couldn't even wear. But apparently he threw in a box of Feastables as well because he's just such a caring guy. Now, MrBeast didn't turn up to the event or make any kind of appearance. But to be fair, like as soon as you see MrBeast experience, it's not really guaranteed that he's going to show up. But this then led some people to even question, did he even sign off on this? Or was this just management trying to squeeze a bit more money out of people? Some of the guests also believe that they were being scammed a bit as well, because in the $1,000, you also get a hotel included. But apart from the hotel, the only thing you actually got in the package was basically a bag of unsold merch. And then people also found out as well, even though you're paying $1,000 for a hotel room and for merch, surely the hotel's expensive. Well, on average, a 3-day stay would cost you about $400. Now, in an attempt to try to do a bit of damage control here, Resorts World, which were doing this collaboration with MrBeast, they offered in a drink voucher. So you're spending $1,000 to get a hotel, get a goodie bag, and now you can get a free drink. It got so bad that by the end of it, people were just verbally attacking the hotel staff. But like that one gif of Mercy from Overwatch flying down to save the day, MrBeast came in to rectify things. So in a tweet replying to Fox News, Jimmy actually said that everyone that paid for the experience would get their money back. And he's also inviting them to be flown out so they can get a behind the scenes look on his studio. Mr. Breast, I salute you.
Hello, you absolute legends.
Shut up! The Jobst lawsuit is probably one of the biggest lawsuits ever involving content creators. The only thing I can think of that's bigger than this is the H3H3 lawsuit. If you remember, H3 went up against Matt Huss, who was trying to sue Ethan and Healer. This was basically setting a gold standard for copyright infringement, and that was all the way back in 2017.
The wording that the judge put into the opinion is going to strengthen fair use across YouTube. This opinion by the judge is a slam dunk. Kobe, take this L.
God, do you remember when H3 used to do amazing content? Like, for example, who can forget the infamous video, Dicks Out for Harambe?
I've been walking around town. My dick's out all the time now. You don't support Harambe.
I actually haven't seen the content cop video on H3, but I'm guessing that's half the runtime complaining about that video. So this is a tale as old as time, the war between Jobst and Billy Mitchell. And when I'm saying this goes back a long time, this is like back in the 1980s. Like, I'm a boomer, and that's before my time. So Billy Mitchell, who you probably know is that guy with the big head that was used as a 1-bit joke in regular show. He's a competitive video game player, and he would basically get his first claim to fame from the Pac-Man competition. And after a decade of planning, practice, and dedication, Billy got an amazingly perfect score of 3,333,360 points. Now, these days, getting a game to 100%, you know, getting the highest score, getting platinum for your little Snoy console, like, it doesn't sound like a big deal. And also, as much as people hate video games today, video games back then on arcade cabinets, a lot of them were unfinished. There were loads of glitches, which, okay, yeah, to be fair, any Bethesda game in existence. But the reason behind this is because it was a pay system. You put a coin in to actually get the machine to work. So usually what a lot of companies would do, they would do some pretty sneaky things to make sure that you did die, so you'd have to put another coin in. Arcade games weren't games as we see them today. They were basically carnival machines trying to milk as many coins out of you. But Billy Mitchell apparently wins Pac-Man and gets a massive amount of notoriety for it. Well, as much notoriety as you can get for being a gamer in the 90s, so all 7 people. He even inspired a character played by Peter Dinklage in that Pixels film with Adam Sandler.
Pac-Man's a bad guy?
But the thing is, even though I've talked a lot about Billy Mitchell and Pac-Man, that's actually not what brought him to fame. In reality, what made him so famous and also infamous was Donkey Kong. So during his time of playing Donkey Kong, Billy Mitchell acquired 3 different records. The first one was the 1,047,200 point King of Kong record. That was named after the documentary which it heavily featured in. And then also as well, the 1,050,200 point Mortgage Broker record. And also the most recent 1,062,800 point Boomers record. Why did I laugh at that, man? Okay, Boomer. And keep in mind as well, these were 3 different records and they weren't competing with each other. They were all in different categories and they all got him put in Guinness World Records. That was also with the help of Twin Galaxies, which is another very important key player in this game. Like believe me, this lore, it goes very deep. Now, Twin Galaxies is primarily a video game database. They collect people's competitions and record submissions, and then they process them to check if there's any kind of like cheating or illicit logs. It was basically a proto speedrun.com. More importantly though as well, Twin Galaxies were actually the official supplier for video game records to Guinness World Records. And this gave them a hell of a lot more authenticity compared to other companies. Disputes would actually end up going through the legal system. And go through the legal system they did. Since 2017, Mitchell and Twin Galaxies have been back and forth in legal cases. All of this surrounding if the speedruns of Donkey Kong were actually real or if he's a dirty little cheater. There is a whole rabbit hole here, a whole lot of legal jargon, and more importantly, a lot of people throwing money around. But there's one case in this sequence that is crucial to the Carl Jobst lawsuit that's still going on today, and that is the 2020 defamation case against Ben Smith, more commonly known online as Apollo Legend. Now, Apollo Legend basically ran a speedrunning commentary channel. He'd cover speedrun highlights, the most optimized kind of speedruns, and also, more importantly, the presence of cheaters in the speedrunning community. Now, Apollo did make some videos in the past basically accusing Billy of cheating and faking his scores. These videos, you might be able to find them as re-uploads online, but they're not actually on the Apollo Legends channel anymore because he was sued by Mitchell for defamation, and he actually ended up winning that case. And the verdict basically being Apollo had to remove all the videos and could basically never make any more content on Billy Mitchell. And I'm sure you know this part of the story, but sadly, a couple of months after that case concluded, on the 31st of December 2020, Apollo ended up taking his own life. And all of this context brings us straight back to Carl Jobst today. Jobst, like Apollo, runs a YouTube channel where he basically commentates over speedruns, and he has made a lot, and I mean a lot of videos talking about the Billy Mitchell saga. In 2022, Jobst actually released a video titled "Billy Mitchell has gone insane and I need your help," where he announced that Billy is basically trying to sue him for a 3rd time now. Now, Jobst basically heavily implies in the video that Billy is solely using this lawsuit to try and silence him. Even on the GoFundMe page that Jobst set up, he titles it as another defamation lawsuit. Now, this was a point in the internet where everyone hated Billy Mitchell. Everyone was making videos basically dogging on the guy, mostly because of what happened with Apollo and Jobst. I'm pretty sure if you go onto my channel or you go onto Cr1TiKaL's channel, there are probably videos where we're just regurgitating the information that they put out online. And during this lawsuit, a lot of people came to Jobst's defense, actually raising over 200,000 Australian dollars for his legal fees. But it was actually concluded earlier this year that Jobst lost, and to an awful degree. Jobst was required to pay $400,000, which I'm guessing is US dollars, in damages to Mitchell, as well on top of that covering the cost of his legal fees. And we don't know the exact cost of that, but that could be easily somewhere in the hundreds of thousands. And this is why the situation seems so weird, because everyone hated Billy Mitchell. He was the cringe guy that looked like Jesus, but Jesus who cheated, and he always wore like really cringe ties with his suit. Why is the internet now basically flipped on Jobst, the one guy that was speaking out against Billy Mitchell? The reason why a lot of people are turning on Jobst is because apparently the lawsuit from the very beginning, it didn't hold any weight, because Jobst wasn't actually being sued, as many people on the internet thought, for accusing Billy of cheating. Jobst was actually being sued for alleging in his video that he was the reason why Apollo Legend ended up taking his own life. And this is directly taken from the court documents. For now, it suffices to say that Mr. Mitchell does not complain that Mr. Jobst called him a cheat. Rather, he alleges to the effect that a reasonable person watching that video would understand the offending words as meaning that Mr. Mitchell was a major contributing factor in Apollo Legend's decision to commit suicide and in essence hounded Apollo Legend to death. And one thing that was directly referenced in this is a video that Jobst made in 2021. And that was a video titled "The Biggest Con Men in Video Game History Strike Again." And then in that video, Jobst said this.
He also sued YouTuber Apollo Legend for $1 million. I haven't spoken about this publicly, but this lawsuit ultimately ended with Apollo giving in and settling with Mitchell. The lawsuit against Apollo was just as frivolous as the rest, and Apollo definitely would have won in court, but again, he was extremely ill and couldn't handle the ongoing stress.
Jobst's argument here basically hinges on the fact that the debt Apollo was placed in from the lawsuit was a significant factor in the decision to end his own life. However, apparently no money was actually demanded of Apollo, only for him to actually take down all the videos on Mitchell. Jobst was then contacted, probably by Billy or his lawyers, to retract the statement, in some kind of public way. He basically refused to, which leads to this entire mess now. There was also a video that Jobst made called "The Greatest Feat in Video Game History," and he said this.
Back in May, I talked about the new lawsuits filed by Todd Rogers and Billy Mitchell. In that video, I made the claim that Apollo Legend paid money to Billy Mitchell as part of their settlement. I would never make such a claim unless I had very good evidence to support my position. In response to this, Billy Mitchell released a video accusing me of lying and claimed that no money was exchanged. He didn't provide any evidence to back up this claim, nor did he attempt to get in contact with me to clear up any misinformation I may have had. However, I did investigate further, as I would never want to provide false information to my viewers. I reached out to a member of Apollo's family who graciously agreed to clarify some details. According to them, despite Mitchell's best efforts, Apollo Legend would not pay any money, and in the final version of the settlement, there was no clause indicating that he was required to do so. Therefore, the statement I made in that video was almost certainly incorrect. I sincerely apologize for providing false information, and no matter what kind of relationship I have with Mitchell, I do not believe that it is ever justified to lie or mislead.
So the backlash that Jobst is now receiving is because people believe that he was unclear, mostly about the true nature of the lawsuit, and collected money through the GoFundMe under false pretenses, later using that money to fund his defense for a case that people may have not actually supported. And another reason people have done a complete 180 on him is because the way that Jobst would portray himself online is quite a cocky character, usually kind of berating and antagonizing Mitchell constantly in his videos. So at the time of recording, Jobst posted 2 defenses, which are kind of nothing burgers. There was a tweet going into detail about how he lost, but he's arguing, saying that he never actually tried to hide these details. More importantly, what he was actually being sued for, and then also linked a video that he posted last year. And here he's basically alluding that Apollo Legend may have had a part to play in the lawsuit.
However, I will say that Billy Mitchell being a video game cheater is extremely relevant to the lawsuit. Billy Mitchell being happy about Apollo Legend dying is extremely relevant. Billy Mitchell abusing the legal system is extremely relevant.
But on top of that, Jobst has also continued to make other videos about Billy Mitchell's alleged cheating. So in a video response titled "I Lost," Jobst basically affirms again that he said that the suit wasn't directly about cheating, and that he can't actually be responsible for giving people the wrong idea. He makes a statement as well saying that he didn't actually want to talk about the details of the lawsuit because it could really harm his case, which, to be devil's advocate, does actually make sense, because if he mentioned the details that he, was talking about Apollo Legend, then Billy could have done another lawsuit basically saying that you're berating your fan base to attack me. But despite that, he would still talk around the lawsuit a lot and also make a lot of negative comments towards Billy Mitchell. The most important part of the response video is he does actually apologize for being vague in the description for the GoFundMe.
Hey, good morning, Kanye.
Shut the fuck up.
Now, onto something more interesting, a character that I've talked about many times on this channel, and also for a very brief period some years ago, actually followed me on Twitter, mostly when he was having a mental crash out and basically following a bunch of ironic meme accounts, and probably followed me on accident. I remember asking him to play Fortnite with me, and then there was an entire article wrote on that. Of course, I'm talking about Kanye West. Now, whenever Kanye is in the news cycle, that's a bad thing, okay? Like that is a good thing for no one. You might remember earlier this year, he had a prolonged Austrian painter-themed meltdown. That was on Twitter, resulting in his account being deactivated. Well, recently, he's actually came out saying he's not a part of the Austrian painter party, thanks to the help of Adam Sandler. I do like that tweet there that he made. I don't take photos, except when I take photos. It's like that meme that I talked about like 4 years ago. Like, everyone wants to park their car in the shade, but no one wants to plant a tree. Now, recently, Kanye appeared in a video posted to Rumble, which is basically a YouTube alternative, but it also has a green Twitch layout. It's very confusing. Basically, with these sites, we've ran out of UI ideas until someone makes a really ingenious move that everyone copies. So for now, still a bit of Twitch, but make it green like the Matrix. Okay, new website. And he was wearing a certain outfit. This outfit is meant to be white. It was the opposite color. I will let you guess what kind of outfit. Before wearing the robes, he was wearing a t-shirt that was designed by P. Diddy. But on top of that as well, because apparently that wasn't enough to, you know, trigger people. We need the holy trifecta. He then had a necklace of a certain group of people. And then on top of that as well, he did an interview with DJ Academics. I don't really know DJ Academics that well. The only thing I know about him is this whole meme where like he alt tabs out of his computer and it just bricks itself 25 times. I'm pretty sure you could deliberately install like Bonzi Buddy Trojans onto your computer and they would do less damage than DJ Academics alt tabbing out of a source game.
Exiting narrator. Exiting narrator.
But on that interview with DJ Academics, he compared himself to P. Diddy and then was also defending him against the charges. I gotta read this off a sheet just to make sure I'm not getting it wrong. He regrets having his 4 children with his ex-wife, Kim Kardashian, and then farted into his microphone.
Speech is censored a lot.
Oh, that one's going in the folder. I mean, we all know that Kanye's had a pretty, questionable past, like when he did that interview on a certain show with Alex Jones a couple of years ago. He also took a mid-interview phone call, like without even saying anything.
One thing. Hello.
Just basically leaving DJ Academic standing there completely baffled. The worst thing is, those are the highlights of the interview, because the actual interview itself is just incoherent ramblings of Kanye and just over and over and over spewing out completely career-ending sentences.
I don't know how to make a PDF.
And then he was selling merch. Remember the Adidas? You can get some Yeezys. They were sick. Every YouTuber wore them to the point that everyone hates them now. But this then led to him basically having a breakdown and selling a certain shirt on his website representing a certain German party in World War II. I mean, Kanye has always been a pretty divisive person, and it's obvious he's got a lot of mental stuff going on. I even remember at one point when he was with Kim Kardashian, she basically snitched to the entire internet through an Instagram story, no less, that he had bipolar disorder. But even at the beginning of this interview with DJ Academics, he was basically saying he wanted to wear these robes, but he thought people would put him in a hospital for it.
I thought they would like put me in a hospital for my outfit.
On Easter Monday, Kanye announced that he was releasing a new song called Cousins. I mean, harmless enough, right? Now, the song itself is inspired, oh my God, by his cousin who was jailed for killing a pregnant woman.
Bro, get your pregnant ass on! Bro, you know what?
Now, Kanye claims that this is apparently because he refused to look at adult magazines with him anymore. Kanye then follows up, and you know what I'm going to do? I'm not going to look at you. I'm going to read this because this is an actual statement. He follows up by saying that whilst they would read adult magazines together, Kanye would perform oral sex on his cousin, ending the tweet with, "My name is Ye, and I sucked my cousin's dick." And then he puts tweet sent at the end. I don't think I've been lost for words on this channel before, but this is definitely one of those times. And then recently as well, Kanye actually appeared on another live stream whilst he was in Spain, this time hosted by Digital Nas. Thankfully, there weren't as many Kanye moments, as many outbursts as we originally discussed. Well, all right, he didn't get dressed up in the robes again, so there's that. But just from the outside perspective, it did seem that he was possibly on something. I mean, maybe the nitrous is hitting him a little bit harder than usual. He got a stronger prescription.
You could die.
Laughter, bro, chill.
That, or he's just doing like method acting now. So he basically held a Bible for the entirety of the stream and just continued to crash out over Kim Kardashian.
All right, so back to the thing with my daughter.
And then on top of that as well, like midstream, he started doing some bizarre like aura farming. And then in an entirely different live stream, whilst Kanye was getting his hair cut, he was listening to Net Spend. What a time we are living in. You know what? If Kanye listened to Blade one time or Echo 2K, I would not forgive him for everything, but I would compromise. Now, one thing that I really didn't expect is it seems that Kanye is actually trying to break into the streamer scene a little bit recently, you know, considering how many streamers he's shown up on recently. I mean, for example, he streamed on Twitch recently and he was banned within 7 minutes of the stream going live. I didn't even know that Albert Wesker in Resident Evil 5 could actually predict how long Kanye was going to be live for before they banned him.
7 minutes. 7 minutes is all I can spare to play with you.
Now, if you remember an online creator called Sneeko, Kanye actually appeared on one of his streams showcasing a new song. It was definitely a song. So what's the moral of this story? Kanye West is the most normal functioning American I've ever seen. So there's a lot of games on Steam that are just trash. No one likes them. They get review bombed. But recently there was a game called No Mercy, and this has to be one of the most controversial games I've ever seen on Steam. So No Mercy has been described as a R-word, an incest simulator, where players are encouraged to, I'm just going to read this, become every woman's worst nightmare and never take no for an answer. I really hope the people in the office next door don't hear me say that and take it out of context. Now, I get it. Steam has a lot of degenerate games on there. Some of my favorites, for example, is Lilith's Lair and Tribal Hunter. Now, the thing is, Steam has the same age verification as pretty much every site on planet Earth. How old are you? Wait, you're not gonna lie about your age on the internet, are you? So when a game like this is uploaded to Steam, no one cares. That is until Twitter finds it and people start making articles on it. Then Steam actually ended up removing the game from a couple of countries. Now, the developers of this game, No Mercy, did actually come out to defend the game. And then they ended up being like, okay, you know what? Fair enough, you win. We're going to take it off Steam ourselves. They even put out a statement saying, if after reading the above, you still believe that such a game should not have ever been created, then we sincerely apologize to you. At the same time, we would like you to be a bit more open to human fetishes that don't harm anyone, even though they may seem disgusting to you. I like how I was comparing this game to like just feet or something. So what's the conclusion to this story? Steam has no games. No, there's actually nothing. I tried to play Blueprints for a bit. You just walk around until you need to go to bed. It's not a good game. Oh my lord, my second favorite person to talk about after Kanye West, and that is Elon Musk.
I am become meme.
Now, you think that the world's richest and apparently one of the world's smartest men would, you know, pay for some help when navigating social situations instead of doing what he does now. But recently, Musk was streaming Path of the Exile 2. That was whilst he was on his private jet.
This chat is unhinged.
Basically, anytime he streams, it's a way to flex his Starlink, his Wi-Fi connection. And this is the same game where he was basically being accused earlier in the year of paying people to boost his account. Now, even though nothing really noteworthy happened this stream with Elon, the chat was going wild. Die. So they were just saying pretty vulgar things like, you have no friends, you will die alone, you will always feel insecure, and it will never go away. And then people did ironic edits of this as well, saying you're loved by everyone, and they gave Elon Musk like the Roblox smiley face. But then, and the entire reason I'm doing this video, this section on Elon, is because someone came into Elon's chat LARPing as Ashley St. Clair, a woman who Elon Musk, at the time of recording, is currently having a custody battle with for their child. And they were spamming in the chat, asking Elon Musk to pay their child support money. It's just how rent-free can it be? I don't know why. Like, everything I've recorded this video, that bit, it just kills me, man. Like, Ashley St. Clair coming into the chat, LARPing, saying, Elon, give me my money back. So this was all a bit too much for Elon, and he basically just ended up quitting the stream and rage quitting the game.
Connection lost.
And then also deleting the VOD from Twitter. Oh, sorry, I mean X. There was even someone spamming in the chat as well saying, you ruined the country just like you've ruined your marriages. And the username for the account is Elon Musk is pathetic. Now, I am very, very sure you have seen The Last of Us HBO. Now, I'm not going to get into the details of the show because Critical's done that. Critical Drinker has done that. Yes, they are two different channels, and Critical Drinker actually had his video taken down, which he started crying about on Twitter. Critical Drinker, you don't get the strat. If you want to show something that is in cinemas or is on a streaming platform, do not show it. Show screenshots or cut the footage every 3 seconds. They will claim it otherwise. So I don't want to get into too many spoilers, but some of the characters don't look the same. And no, I'm not talking about Bella Ramsey because, oh my God, I know people are rent-free about that. But for example, the casting of Abby, you know, she's not muscly anymore. Wait, they don't have trenbolone acetate in the apocalypse? What the hell? This sucks. Now, there have been a lot of rewrites and stuff. This is apparently their preferred version of the game. They've changed like a bunch of smaller things around the show. But one thing that I found amazing is the actress that plays Abby. I saw her and I was like, she kind of looks like Ellie. Could actually play Ellie, only to find out that she actually was trying to get the role of Ellie, but was turned down. And instead, Bella Ramsey got the role instead. I mean, I'll be honest, I see that Bella Ramsey is getting an insurmountable amount of hate online at the minute. I think her performance is fine. I really don't see too much of an issue with it. I just like how people will fixate on Bella Ramsey, be like, oh, they got her in the show? That sucks. But then they'll totally pass Pedro Pascal being Joel Miller, despite the fact that Joel was like a white Texan and Pedro is a Chilean American actor.
Get that camera the fuck away from me.
Like, I genuinely don't care. Cast who you want. I just find like the fixation is so bizarre. Also, I'm not sure what kind of blood pact that Pedro Pascal has done because he's basically appearing in like 7 major films a year at this point. Now, I'm going to talk some spoilers here, so you should probably watch the show, or I'll leave a timestamp on screen where you can skip to the next story if, you know, you really haven't caught up on the show at the minute. I don't know how you haven't. There's nothing else to watch at the minute. So as you know, in the game, Abby, big strong woman, she does the golf club thing to his head. Something that Neil Druckmann shamelessly stole from the successful game BioShock. And then you're playing as Ellie getting revenge halfway through the game, and then the game stops and you play as Abby for the other half. It's not like you switch between perspectives a lot. No, the rest of the game, you're playing as Abby until like a good 40-minute stint at the very end as Ellie again.
10 hours of Abby? 10?
Mel's pregnant.
And as we know as well, when the game came out, it was review bombed because everyone hated that they got rid of Joel so early. And especially as well, they purposely lied. They called it misdirection, but it was flat out lying, saying that Joel didn't die because they basically didn't want to admit that the leakers were right. So they had these like weird cutscenes where there's like a character called Jesse who's like some kind of side character guy. And he's meant to appear there when Ellie's saying, I didn't know you were here. But they edited it in so it was Joel instead.
What are you doing here?
You think I'd let you do this on your own?
I understand they were annoyed that the game got leaked, but it's like, that's lying. It is literally lying.
We did so much to try to protect the story, putting fake shots in trailers and swapping skins on characters and recording a different line with Troy.
But one thing I've noticed about the Last of Us game is since like, you know, the fires have simmered a little bit, the game is getting a much more positive reception. I mean, even if you check the reviews on Steam, they're actually pretty good considering this was a game that everyone hated the story beats for when it first came out. Now, spoilers for the show, like I was saying, we know that Joel in the second episode of season 2, he still gets killed, but they've changed the context now. So it's basically Abby explaining why she's doing this, not just Joel, Miller, and then just shotgun. And then also golf club. I forgot the golf club bit. It's very important. So they changed a lot of the context there. So Abby isn't this like mysterious assailant. You fully know why she's doing this. And it seems at the minute through the story beats, they're doing exactly what they were doing in the game, where halfway through, it's going to change to the perspective of Abby. Now, I can already tell, and I think it's confirmed, that season 2 won't be the whole of the second game of part 2 because there just isn't enough time. What I think they're actually going to do is, and this is going to annoy a lot of people, I feel they're going to do this thing where it's like they're gonna at the end of the season, it's gonna end up with like that scene where Jesse gets shot, and then afterwards it ends. Season 3 will begin with the second half of part 2 where you play from Abby's perspective. I do really want to see how Abby actually performs when it is her time to shine as well, because the actress, she's not a muscular woman at all, which is totally fine. But the thing is, like, Ellie would usually be doing stabby 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 with like the pocket knife, and Abby would just be going Falco kick. you know, like just doing all that kind of stuff. Abby's actress in the show can't really do that. And I'm sure Neil Druckmann cried himself to sleep for 5 weeks straight over it. Now, one thing that The Last of Us show has always hit on the head, and no one really ever seems to talk about it, is when they cast actors that actually were in the game. Like, for example, in the second game, how they cast Jeffrey Wright as the voice of Isaac, the leader of the Wolves, the WLF. That was his voice, but because his voice fits so well, they cast him as an actual actor. Because he's a pretty prolific actor, his introduction in episode 3 of season 2 is just phenomenal. It's insane. Another great example is Marlene in season 1, the first game, the leader of the Fireflies. In the game, she's voiced by Merle Dandridge, and in the show, she's also played by Merle Dandridge, and her acting in that show is just like absolute top tier.
Kim, you don't have a fucking ear on your fucking head, could you please? There's a team of 5.
And also, one thing I really like about Merle as well is if you listen to her voice closely enough, she probably sounds like someone you recognize. That's because she voiced Alex in the Half-Life series as well. But yeah, that was me ranting on about The Last of Us for a little bit. I mean, the thing is, okay, can we all agree? Half the internet is shitting on the show, but they're still watching it. And that's exactly what they want.
But I just tell them, draw it fatter.
I love Studio Ghibli. Ghibli? I don't know how you say it. It's like how people say gib or jib. Shut up, you're wrong. The way I say it is right. But they're a Japanese animation studio known for their precision, their detailed hand drawings, and they have made some amazing animated films, like, for example, My Neighbor Totoro, Howl's Moving Castle, and probably one of their most successful films, Spirited Away. I don't like to talk about Spirited Away. I don't like that film very much. There's a big black goo monster, and he's very sexy. Now, AI, as we know, has had a lot of rapid progressions, to the point now that the current trend is to basically use AI to make drawings or pictures look like Studio Ghibli art. Now, some people love the AI art. They love that they can take a picture and never learn how to draw and just generate something in seconds. And then all the artists are basically put on suicide watch because they spent 7 years, 10 years learning to hone their craft, only to see someone just be like, this look like Ghibli, and it just gets generated. The thing is, this goes against the original creator's vision, that being Hayao Miyazaki, the actual founder and chairman of Studio Ghibli. Now, Ghibli has always been held as a bit of a golden boy to the internet. I'm sure you've saw many memes about him being compared to other artists, like, for example, Junji Ito. Junji Ito will draw absolutely abhorrent, vile creations, but the guy's pretty wholesome. And Miyazaki, on the other hand, draws amazing, wholesome animation, but he seems to just fucking hate everyone. But one thing that Miyazaki has hated especially is the use of AI in art. He's been very vocal about this on multiple occasions. It's actually gotten so bad now that Japanese lawmakers are actually looking into either limiting or outright banning these generation of images in his style, which, if anything, could be some of the first laws around the regulation and use of AI. So if you've seen it a minute, if you've been scrolling any short form content, there's a hilarious meme. We definitely haven't run out of memes, guys. And it's basically around AI animals. And I'll be honest, guys, I get it. I'm getting old, I know. But you are Gen Z is making this meme. You're making us look like millennials. This is basically a meme where you've got some animal that's AI generated wearing some kind of clothes or like fused with an object, and then there's an AI voiceover announcing the name of the creature and then rambling in Italian.
Asperini, Rabbitini, ba, ba, ba.
There's such amazing creatures like Tralero, Tralala, and then also Bomb-ba-diro, Crocodilo.
Bomb-ba-diro, Crocodilo.
And of course, Tung Tung Sahur.
Tung 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 Sahur.
It's like again, I know I've said this so many times. We've ran out of memes. We've ran out of memes. We're going back to YouTube poops, but now they're even more unfunny. But what some people have actually found out with this meme is it was a little bit of a dog whistle because the words were spoken so quickly, but if you slow them down and translate them, they're basically mocking Islam.
Un fottuto alligatore volante che vola e bombarda I bambini a Gaza e in Palestina.
Third on the AI chopping block is KSI's friend number 5, Vickstar 123. So Vickstar, as you know, if you drink bottles of Prime while you're here, he's part of the Sidemen group. Now, the thing is about Vickstar is he's always kept a very clean nose. He's always been intelligent. I mean, I swear he did a rap video talking about like how many GCSEs he got or how many A levels he got.
Disgrace? Well, I got straight
But recently, he released a music video called Chemical that used a lot of AI for the visuals. And Vickstar for this video partnered with Captain Nevin. The guy's apparently a self-described AI video director. What does an AI video director mean, by the way? Like, isn't that just typing prompts? Now, it seems the video, when it was dropped, got quite a lot of hate. I'm not even going to mention the dislikes because I'm sure, as you know now, using the YouTube plugin, it doesn't work. It's very inaccurate. But for having 430,000 views and only around 6,000 likes, and the comments are turned off, it's not a good look. Now, Vickstar did confirm that he actually turned the comments off, basically saying, weeks of human artistry went into this project, from writing. We know it's writing, it's AI. Mood boarding to animating, building models and rendering scenes, re-rendering them and editing. But in Vic's defense, he is basically saying here, not the entire thing was AI. I wasn't just sat there typing prompts for 2 weeks. No, like there's other things that went into this project as well. I mean, a great example for other creators using AI in the music scene is MGMT. They did a music video called When You Die, and they used actors, they used real sets, but then they also utilized AI to create textures and blend visuals together, which created this like really weird trippy sequence. Now keep in mind though as well, if you go and watch that music video from MGMT, it came out 7 years ago, so this is like the earliest instance of AI possible. It doesn't really look that good. Now, one thing I did actually notice when recording this video, I went onto Vickstar's channel just to kind of make a gag before I, moved on to the next topic. But you can actually see here that he actually made a new video that didn't use any AI, which is a new music video to the Chemical video that he made originally. Basically, that video got so overly hated that he titled the original video AI music video, and he's now saying that this is the actual music video. So we might understand that the dating scene is hard. It's hard to get a partner.
So, where are you taking me?
You look good.
But there's been a new AI tool that's been announced, which has been causing quite a lot of controversy since its announcement. Clearly is an invisible AI that apparently allows you to cheat on conversations. So basically, you feed Clearly a live stream of your meeting, and it gives you an AI-generated response to what the other person is saying. Now, I understand this could have some kind of benefits, just not in the dating scene. Like, for example, if you're trying to get a job interview on Zoom, they ask you for your employment history or, any piece of information that can be pretty easily forgotten. I mean, I'm talking about getting a job, and you're here watching me, so I guess it applies to a different group of people. But one of the benefits of this could be, pulling something up in an instant, saving you the social stress of forgetting. But also at the same time, isn't that the entire point of conversations? To forget, to stumble, to, say the wrong thing, those kinds of actual human interactions, not to make everything just basically chat GPT. Because unfortunately, a lot of people compared this to Black Mirror. More importantly, the White Christmas episode. White Christmas came out 10 years ago? No way. Because one of the mini stories in the White Christmas episode was someone going to a bar, trying to lay some Riz, and he had a coach on call telling him exactly what to say. I think one of the scariest things about this is if this worked with like a pair of like Google glasses, which it won't because that was a complete colossal failure, it could have some pretty dystopian implications. You could meet someone, talk to them, and you're not even having an actual conversation. You're using a bunch of like prerequisite Riz quotes. And what makes this even more scary is if you look at one of the creators' Twitters, he basically said, the end state of the product is to put a chip in your brain. The more people that use the product, the closer we get to the end state. The problem I find with this end state of having a chip in your brain to tell you exactly what to say, every single interaction is going to look like this.
How are you today? I've been better. How about you? I've been better.
Now for a more upbeat topic, the
Chicken Jockey
movie. I'm sure you've seen it. I know it's already a dead bit by now. Everyone's too busy talking about Sinners and how that's absolute cinema, apparently. What can I even say about the Minecraft movie? Chicken Jockey. Or how people were just throwing popcorn all across the cinema.
Chicken Jockey.
Or how, like, the main bad guy in the film was called General Chungus.
General Chungus.
Like, someone's kid must have been on the writing credit for that team. Now, the Minecraft movie, it was okay. I didn't see it. I didn't care. It's got like 47% on Rotten Tomatoes. But apparently, people loved it. Well, more like the parents didn't like it, but they had to get their kid off TikTok for about 5 minutes, so they took them to the cinema because it made $550 million. There's also people that were kind of semi-sarcastically doing compilations of their favorite quotes of the Minecraft film, mostly from Jack Black, and they get more and more sped up, which is like, again, this this is my like schizo theory. We've run out of memes because this is no different than like a 2012 YouTube poop. Chicken jockey. And I'm guessing this led to every single toddler running around just saying buzzwords from the film, much like how people would say, you know, when I was a child, what's that one? Left 4 Dead, ONING? My friends call me Coach. My friends call me Coach. Now, obviously, there was that very infamous scene of Jack Black saying chicken jockey, and everyone went mental, which was basically an even more less IQ version of when Captain America picked up Thor's hammer. Now, I'm not going to go into the details of the throwing popcorn and the screaming and, you know, these poor underpaid attendees having to clean it all up. But what I do want to talk about is there were some specific screenings that were basically asking you only show up if you're going to be a colossal moron and start screaming when Jack Black says the funny thing. Part of me thinks in my bitter old age, ew, that's cringe. Why are they doing that? But also it's like, who cares? They're kids having fun. I mean, if anything, I wish I could go back to a time where I had no guilt. Wait, I don't have any guilt or shame. No, wait, remove that. Could you imagine, though, as well, if this actually took off as a trend? There'll just be any scene in any film where people just go absolutely mental. Yep, I went to the cinema recently. I watched a film that was published by A24, and something actually happened. So I got out my chair and I clapped. Now, unless you've been living under a rock or you go outside within the past 2 years, you might have heard of James Somerton. For context, James Somerton used to make video essays, TV and films, all from the LGBTQ+. Wait, how many more letters are there? It's from that perspective. But what was exposed by Bomb-ba-diro in a massively successful video is that James Somerton was basically plagiarizing a lot of his content. So since Bomb-ba-diro's video, from the perspective of James, it's basically been radio silence, apart from a pretty poorly made apology video. But he's been spotted again doing what he does best on Wedding Wire, which is an online marketplace for wedding specialists, like, for example, event planners, photographers, or artists. And there was an account on that website called Memory Media, and that actually drew a bit of attention. The only employee that's listed here is the owner, which is James Somerton. But the kicker is, the pictures being used in his portfolio aren't actually his. The pictures are apparently stock images that he's basically ripped off the internet and tried to claim as his own work. All the reviews as well on the portfolio have actually been written on the same day. And if you go on his pretty lengthy About Me section, people have checked it online to see if it's AI generated, and apparently it is. Now, keep in mind though, the website is only actually available through a Wayback Machine, so the extent of the plagiarism, we'll probably never find that out. Now, looking through other Wayback entries, it does actually seem that James has had like a moment of reflection. You know, if you're a known plagiarist, it probably won't entice a lot of repeat customers. So what he's done now apparently is changed his name in a 200 IQ move to William James. But apparently he still forgot to remove James Somerton from his About section, meaning that his actual name is still listed as the lead. He also later changed this to basically remove his name and completely erase the monk William James. I know I meant to say monarch not monk there, by the way, but I'm also British. And we just don't say some letters for some reason. There's also one guy in his reviews and later logs actually calling him out for being James Somerton. I just like the fact that the guy was called out for plagiarizing. He was like, I'm really sorry, I'll never do it again. So he stopped plagiarizing on YouTube, and then he started plagiarizing like wedding photos. You may have noticed a slight scene change. That's because I'm not in the office anymore. I'm in my hotel. You may have also seen, oh my god, man. I should never be allowed to shave again in my life. Look at that. That is grim. That looks like herpes or something, man. That's horrible. Also, the setup at the minute in the hotel room, it's a little bit scuffed. At the minute, I'm basically balancing the camera on top of a bowl of protein powder. So you can see here the setup of absolute legends. There's some creatine, a picture of me and my dad, Talizora figure that I have for no reason whatsoever. I'm balancing it on protein powder because like I can't put a stand on this desk. Look how curved it is. We make do, all right? Never say I don't care about you guys.
We are victims of the media ecosystem and whatever, and that's a bummer.
Now, we never like the case when a YouTuber unfortunately has to quit the platform, but that's recently what's happened with the YouTube channel Wisecrack. They uploaded a video saying that they're quitting, and they even had to say in the thumbnail that it wasn't clickbait because, you know, the amount of YouTubers that are clickbaiting that they're quitting. I've been very guilty of that multiple times. And this is a channel that has been going on for a very long time, basically well over 12 years.
What it do, blood?
Welcome to Thug Notes, your main hookup for classical literature summary and analysis.
Now, the reasoning behind quitting the channel, it kind of raised more questions than answers if you watch the video, but it sounds like it wasn't their decision. Maybe it was like some corporate higher-ups or something. Michael Burns, one of the founders of the channel, basically said where you can find them outside of Wisecrack. The decision, if anything, most likely came from Blue Ant Media, which is a subsidiary of Omnia Media when they purchased them in 2019. And again, I know there's quite a lot of drama surrounding Omnia Media. Many YouTubers in the past have actually came out saying that they've had their payments withheld by Omnia. I'm not sure whether that's been resolved yet or not. This lack of like paying YouTubers actually got so bad that CoffeeZilla ended up doing an investigation over it, or he was asked to at least. Now, the biggest game theory going around right now is Wisecrack, unfortunately, they're just not getting the views that they used to. They've got around 3 million subscribers, but per video, which takes a while to make with the research and the editing, they're only pulling in around 100 to 300,000 views, which I'm not knocking that. That's great views. But like these Wisecrack channels that have a huge team of like editors and writers and researchers, it's probably not enough to actually pay everyone. Now, the earlier content of Wisecrack was a lot more serialized. They made certain shows like, for example, Thug Notes, which focused a lot more on like media analysis, and also a series called 8-Bit Philosophy, which, if you couldn't guess, covered philosophy. But recently, though, Wisecrack have actually transitioned into talking more about left-leaning politics. So it could be the case that they're actually being strong-armed out of their own channel, while Omnia Media basically takes over and shifts it to a new perspective. This was actually backed up by a recent tweet that the Wisecrack account posted, saying, "Probably going to lose access to this account soon. When the vibe gets weird, you'll know it's not us." I mean, unfortunately, this is a tale as old as time. You get these huge media conglomerates that slurp up YouTubers and just absolutely destroy their channel. You've got these creators and they have a vision, and that vision gets destroyed because, well, it's not making enough money. It just really saddens me that even in the current year, we still have these channels akin to Machinima that are just destroying creators' channels.
I object. My client has done nothing wrong.
He killed 27 children and crippled 5.
He's clinically insane.
George Santos. I don't think this is someone I've ever covered on the channel before, but he is quite a character. He used to be a former member of the House of Representatives in America, but recently he's actually been given a 7-year sentence for his fraudulent congressional campaign. Now, George is definitely quite a bit of a meme, mostly because how much he just flat out lies on the internet. He even has his own segment on his own Wikipedia page titled Biographical Lies. At one point, he said he was Jewish, then it was found out that he wasn't Jewish, and he tried to like cope about the statement saying, "I never said I was Jewish, I said I was Jew-ish." Okay. He also lied about his mother surviving the 9/11 attacks and lied about working with Goldman and Sachs on Wall Street. He also lied about making music for the Spider-Man musical, and he's also lied about being a star volleyball player. But the government came down on him and said that he's basically been defrauding federal and state government institutions, as well as his own family, supporters, and constituents. Now, I get it. People lie on the internet, unsurprisingly. But the thing is, he was actually profiting monetarily off these lies. So the government have basically said that he's committing fraud, which can lead to a pretty big jail sentence. And also, apparently, there were claims going around as well that the campaign money he raised wasn't actually being put into his campaign, but instead so he could get Botox, gambling, and also OnlyFans. Now, he came out with a statement saying, "I cannot rewrite the past, but I can control the road ahead." And also in like the most YouTuber apology terms ever, "I'm sorry for what I did, but I'm learning and growing from my mistakes." Also, one thing I've actually been seeing a lot of George Santos recently, he seems to be doing a podcast, or at least a guest, with the Matan kid. If you remember, the kid that basically breached the Game Awards and went on stage, made some bizarre rant about Bill Clinton.
Reformed Orthodox Rabbi Bill Clinton. Thank you, everybody.
There are a lot of clips with George and this kid, and some of them just border on like basically an Eric Andre skit.
What is the benefit of starting a podcast and doing these interviews when you will surely be going to prison next week?
Oh, I'm going to prison next week?
Or the following week.
I'm going to prison in the following 2 weeks.
Why are you misrepresenting what I'm asking you?
Absolute terms, right? You said surely.
Yeah, I'm 100% sure.
Okay.
So this is a really weird one. Usually I talk about drama and stuff, but the UK at the minute is trying to find a way to block out the sun. Okay, all right, they're trying to dim the sun, okay? Like, they're trying to dim it a bit, but that's not a joke. The Advanced Research and Invention Agency in the UK has been given £50 million in funding in an attempt to basically slow down the process of global warming. One of the ideas that they had was releasing aerosols into the atmosphere to basically block out the sun a little bit, which would then cause a lot of the sunlight that would penetrate the ozone layer to basically bounce back into space. I do like this cope, though. Instead of telling all the super billionaire rich people to maybe slow down a little bit on progress and, you know, destroying the planet, instead we're basically having to modify our own planet just to be able to let them keep destroying the planet. Also, one thing that very few people have pointed out on, there's an anthology series called The Animatrix, right? And it's based on, you know, The Matrix, Matrix Reloaded. It's these short films. It's an amazing series, by the way. I definitely recommend you watch it. In one of the episodes, they basically try to kill the machines before, you know, the machine war in The Matrix by doing the same thing. They dropped aerosol into the sky to block out the sun, which was the machine's main energy source. I don't know where I'm going with that. It's a little bit scary. Something Black Mirror. So there have been some new details around the CoffeeZilla and Logan Paul lawsuit. So all the way back in 2022, CoffeeZilla made a 3-part series on Logan, basically exposing Logan Paul's Crypto Zoo project, which is infamous at this point, as an entire scam. So originally, after throwing all of his toys out the pram, Logan made a video actually apologizing. But then Coffee went another step further and was basically saying that anyone involved in this project that was scammed needs to be refunded. And this then led to Logan hitting Coffee with a defamation lawsuit. And then Coffee in return filed a motion to transfer and stay. And this then led to legally a lot of Logan Paul's DMs being leaked, mostly because they're now relevant to the case. So if you look at the texts, you can see that Logan is pretty obviously using the whole justice system as a way to basically bully CoffeeZilla. Because as we know, Logan is an incredibly rich person. I'll be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if he was that far off being a billionaire at this point. It's funny I say that because if you go through the texts, you can see one of his yes men basically saying to Logan, bro, like, drop it. You're a billionaire. And then he's basically just saying, like, he doesn't care. He wants to hurt people that have spited him. Asmongold, the man renowned for watching other people's videos, raising his eyebrows slightly and saying, sure, like the person in the video is in the room with him. Sure. Now, this man has been known for many things. His political takes, using a dead rat as an alarm clock.
Get the dead rat out? I don't need to anymore. It doesn't smell bad.
And basically being repulsed at the fact of drinking water.
Who the fuck drinks this shit?
So recently, he shared a photo of his recent living situation with us, and it's about as good as you expect. Took the day off to find some dead animal in my attic that smelled bad and ending up falling through the ceiling. Pretty sure I'm living in Sen's Fortress. Now, if you look at the picture itself, I think the dead animal would be like the least worrying thing in this situation. Honestly, I think the least dangerous thing in his house at this point is probably all the asbestos in the ceiling. I mean, also, mate, could you correct the tweet because you're not living in Sen's Fortress, you're living in Blighttown.